Right guys, the next thing we're going to make up is the capstan nut. That's what's going to screw down on top of our tool post stud. So not an M20, but a 3/4 up inside there. I've got a angled hole that's counterbore for the handle to fit into. We've got a support bush. It's going to take some of the load off. We'll see what that looks like. These are the handle components here, so this is what's going to screw into the capstan nut, and then we've got a Delrin handle that's going to be fitted onto the end of that. Alright, so I've got some material for this. Once again, it's a bit of hydraulic ramrod, a bit of chrome moly stuff. Well, actually I think it's 4140 or it's going to be a 1045, but whatever it is, whatever I made that stud out of, that was very, very tough. So it's going to be ideal for this as well. Alright, slight change of plan with the material. Yeah, I thought I had some the chrome bar closer to 50mm, but it's actually 3 inches, so it's a bit big in diameter. So I've gone with a bit of mild steel, and that's not going to worry for this job. It's going to be fine. Alright, so we're just going to get this roughed down, rough it to size, and then we'll finish it out. Alright, I'm going to keep roughing this down. We'll come back when we're getting closer to finish off. It's a fairly basic shape, this one, so it's not going to take too long. That's close enough. Alright, I'm going to give this a bit of a buff up, and we'll get ready to part that off and flip it over to do the 3/4 hole. Alright, we've got that finished up the size, all buffed up nicely. So let's get it parted off, and we'll face it off to length. Alright, I've got about a 6mm diameter there, and I'll take it off with a hacksaw. Alright, we'll bring you back when we've got this turned around and ready to face. Right, so a tapping drill for a 3/4 is 16.5. I don't have a 16.5, but I do have a 16. So we'll see. They tend to drill slightly oversized, these drills. We'll measure it. We've got to give it a lick with a boring bar. We'll do that to bring it out the size. I don't want to make this too hard to tap. Alright, let's set up to tap that out now. We'll just measure it first, see how close it is. It needs a quick lick with a boring tool. I'll do that off camera. I'll get set up for the tap. Alright, I've got an intermediate taper in here at the moment, and it's quite sharp, this one. Unfortunately, the plug tap I've got isn't in good condition, so we'll get 90% of it with this, and I'll try and get a bottom out as much as I can with the finishing unit. All right, let's see how we go. I'm expecting this to get quite hard. Really soon. If you have a look, I'm using a follower in here to keep it on centre. Got to go in a fair way, I've got to go in about 35 mil. Alright, I'm going to keep going with this, and we'll bring you back when we're just about to finish out on this one and get set up for the plug tap. Alright, I was a bit worried about putting too much load on those gears, so this setup seems to be working quite well. I'll tell you what, today we've hit 36, and last weekend we were freezing cold, so this weather is crazy. It's very, very hot in the shop right now. I do want to try and make a move on this and get it finished as quickly as I can. Probably this one is someone's actually ground a hex on this, and it's got no centre in it. Actually, I might use a shifter for this, I think. I might be struggling with that. It's going to slip. Right. Well, it looks, I reckon. Righto, we just need to drill the cross hole to mount the handle on. So this is finished. Alright, we'll get set up for the handle. Well, we'll get set up for the handle next, and we will set this up with a milling machine to do that hole in the counterbore. Okay, so this is the bush we're making up. I did two different designs. One was for an M16, if I didn't have an M20 tap, and the other one was for the M20. But as I said, we've gone for the 3/4, so this is the arrangement we're going for. So 22mm hole, which matches the post. OD 30.2, which matches the ID of the bore in the tool post, and 47, which matches the OD of the tool post as well. So this is designed really just to take out any, I guess, bending moments that might incur on that centre post when you're trying to wrench on it. It just gives some stability and stops it from deforming. So nothing flash in this one, just straight turning and boring. Alright, let's get it roughed down, and we'll get this one knocked down. Alright, we put the stock in for making up the bush, and as you can see when we turn it on, it's wobbling around like a dog's hind leg. So I've got my squaring up tool, and these were the ones I gave 5 of these away on my 5,000 subscriber giveaway, and these are brilliant. So we've just got this clamped lightly in the chuck. Does help if you do the tool holder up, but as you can see, that brought that back very, very close, and that's within thous now. Alright, we'll tighten that up and we'll start machining out the bush. Alright guys, we'll get set up to do this boring job now. This has got to come out to 0.04 of a mil shy of 32mm, about 30mm deep. What I'm going to do also is I've just ordered some wavy washers. So I'm going to counterbore this back when I get those washers. That won't be till next year. And I'm going to make up a bronze washer. that will sit inside there. The idea being is that when I loosen off the capstan nut, this will pop off, and instead of dragging over the face of the top slide, it'll just spin freely over it, and we can just drop it down and lock it into place. So, but that won't be next year. They're quite a long lead time on these wavy washers, but something I'll do when I get them in hand. All right, let's get this this bore underway. Alright, we're on the last cut. This material is shocking material. It sort of machines in bands where it's really tough, then it comes good, then it's really tough, and it comes good. It's hard to get a good surface finish. You know, I've changed the tool over. I'm getting better results with this particular tool for some reason. But yeah, we'll keep going. This will be the last cut. If I speed it up too much, we get too much vibration. If I slow it down, the finish gets really poor. It's a real balancing act on this thing. Righto, that should be it. We should have a slight clearance on that pin. Righto, it's about 0.01 up on size. And what I can do is on that pin, I can lap that pin if we need to get a better fit. So I'm going to leave it at that. I won't push my luck too much further with this stuff. Alright, let's get it out and see how it looks. Alright, so it's just a whisker too small. Just starts to go. Obviously it's going to be too tight for a sliding fit, but I do want this to be a very neat fit. Alright, I'll set this up in the lathe and we'll just give that register there a bit of a lineage. I'll size that to fit that nicely. It's sort of going, but yeah, too tight. Alright, I'll bring you back when we've got that, that lineage out and fitting. Alright, we've got that nicely lapped in now. I'm very happy with that fit now. Line's up there, but that's outside the range. Putting on this fella here, we have just a little bit of, that's not too bad actually. Gets a little bit tight in spots. And I am relying on this existing bore to be in line with the bore that I've just cut, so we might just lap that out just a tiny little bit. Or lap the shaft out. So the idea of this bush is that it takes away any side loads that are on this when I'm doing up the capstan nut. That's roughly how it's going to look. Alright, I'll just might even look at pressing this shaft back into the top slide, and then we can work on this this upper bush then and get that right. All in all, it's looking quite well. Alright, I'll come back once we've got some more lapping done on that bush, just to make sure it's a really, really nice, easy fit. And then I'll look at pressing this back into the top slide. Righto, let's get our pin in now. I'm just hoping this is going to be a light tap-in fit. So there we go. Alright, I think we can ask for any better than that. Alright, let's get the rest of this assembled up and see how it looks, eh? Alright, so I've popped a bit of oil on there, and let's see how we're going to fit up. You can see what I mean by this is rubbing on the top of the top slide there. So that's why I want to do that counterbore back inside, put in a bronze washer, and behind that a wavy washer to actually lift this up when the load comes off the capstan nut. So it lifts it up and it's not rubbing on the top of the top slide like this. So I'll take that off. Top of that has got scoring from the multi-flex tour post that was on there. You can see how that's rubbed in there. So I don't want that to happen with this one here. So as I said, I'll do a counterbore back up underneath there, fit a wavy washer up inside, and then a bronze washer. So it's actually going to be rubbing on the bronze washer whilst it's being spun. Alright, let's continue on with this fit up. A little bush. That's it. As I said, I'm going to Loctite that bush into the body of the tour post. That's our capstan nut. Perfect. Alright, so the next job to do is I need to drill and counterbore into this for a handle. Actually, I might make the handle up first actually. So I'll get the handle on the go next. And in between times I'm going to get this top slide put back together and into place. So there's not much more we can do with it, the way it is at the moment. Alright, we'll get that handle on the go now. Alright, next I want to make up is the Delavan handle. That's going to go onto the handle bar, I guess, which is that thing there. I was going to fit this off with a small socket-headed cap screw to fit it into place, but I think what I'll do is I'll just make it blind and we'll glue that into place rather than screwing it into place. It's never going to have to come off, so that's the way we'll do it. Alright, we've got some Delavan set up in the lathe, so the plan is we're going to drill this up diameter 14, 75 millimeters deep, I'm then going to machine up the steel part of the handle. We'll fit this onto the steel part of the handle and glue it off, and then we can use the steel part of the handle as a mandrel to hold this to shape the end. So that's the plan after we part this off. Alright, let's see how it goes. Righto, done. Now we can machine the shank of that handle to suit the hole. I've just done a roughing pass on this. Going to bring it down to 18 rather than 16. I want a little bit more meat on it. It's measuring up at 18.67. 18.675. So that's not too bad. Roughing pass, 0.05 of a millimetre taper. Alright, so we're going to get this rough down to 18. Alright, that's come up quite good. I will buff this because I do want to glue these parts so they match up with the tool holder. I'll turn this end down to 12 millimeters and tap it, or I should say thread it. Right, clean that up and single point cut that M12 thread. Right, I'm single point cutting this M12 thread now. If I'm using a register to set something, I find that it's better to single point cut than use a tap and die. The dies tend to be a little bit off a little bit at times, and if you're trying to screw it in and marry up with a register, it can be an absolute pain to get that register to locate. So doing it this way, it comes up nice and true. Alright, well, I'll keep going with this and I'll bring you back when we're getting close to a finished thread. Alright, so by the numbers, this should be the last cut. I've never actually got one to match with the final cut. Let's see how we go this time. Okay, so that was really just a spring pass. Give it a blow down and see how it looks. Alright, thread looks beautiful. Let's see if it's going to fit the nut. Nah, not quite. I need to go a little bit deeper. Alright, I'll keep going and I'll bring you back when we're done. Alright, so that's come up really nice. Took another 4 cuts to get it down, but it worked out well. And I'll run the tap through this nut. It's about that feel there, I reckon. So that should be a good fit into the capstan nut. Right, so that's the next job we're going to do, is set the capstan nut up on the tilt device, and then we'll drill, tap and counterbore to fit that register to get that screwed in. Alright, just press the handle onto the steel bar here. We can now, it's running fairly true, we can now face the end off this and then radius that out. That's always the way, just as I'm about to start setting up and drilling, it's starting to pour down rain. Alright, let's see how we go. So this is probably the last, or one of the last operations we've got to do on this tool post fitment. This is the capstan nut. I'm just going to drill and tap and then drill and bore to be able to mount the handle into place. I'm trying to do this without putting a flat on, just see how we go. If the drill starts wanting, I'll have to put a slot drill in and we'll get a flat put on. So you noticed I've got this tilted up to bring this flat. This was at 9 degrees, was the actual angle, so that's currently flat. So the handle is going to be at right angles to that taper that we've machined onto the top of that capstan nut. Well, I'll keep soldiering on. I want to go 32 deep on this. I want to get as much engagement on the shank of that handle as I possibly can. So the bore for the handle's got to be 18, so we'll go in there with a 16mm drill and then open it up with the boring bar. Well, I've got a 16mm drill. This is one of the step down ones. I haven't used this one before, but just to show you that when you do get them, that the relief on these in some cases is positive. This one does come down and run back up again, so there's a good chance it's going to rub. So I'm going to go and re-grind this one before I use it over in the chuck here. Right, let's get that opened up to 16mm. Alright, I'll set up our boring bar and open that up. Sorry about this guys, I forgot to turn you on. Sitting there focusing on what I'm doing. I forgot to turn the camera on. Well, this is hopefully going to be the last cut actually. Alright, we'll get set up to tap that and then we'll see how our handle fits. That's it, I think. Alright, so that's the handle fitted up. I'm really happy with that. That is a really, really firm fit in there. Obviously I haven't put the Delrin end on yet. Let's get that screwed down. Just see how that feels. Now, that's a mistake I made. I meant to put the nut on first and then mark roughly the position where I want it. Now, I'm going to take a little bit off this washer or this bush here so that I can get it around a little bit further. Although, I might just see how we go there actually. I mean, I probably prefer it about there. And it does lock up quite well. Yeah, I think we'll take off a little bit off the bush here so that we can get that around to around about that position there. Well, that's a mistake for young starters, but other than that, I must admit I am really happy with that. Righto, I'm much happier with this position here. That locks up really firm. That's going to be fine. Alright, so we've now finished it and it's come up really well. I was going to blue this to match up with the tool post, but I like the contrast with the machine finish on it, so I'm going to leave that for the time being anyway. But it locks up really well. And I've done quite a bit of turning on it so far and no issues at all. So very happy with it at the moment. As I said initially, the quality is not real flash. It almost looks like the bluing's been done by heating up cherry red and dipping in oil, the way it's sort of scaled off a little bit around here. But anyway, it doesn't seem to be worrying it too much. Right, the next thing I need to do when I get these wavy washers is do a counterbore back up inside so that when I'm turning it, I'm not dragging it on the top slide. The idea the wavy washer will spring it up and I'll have a bronze washer under the wavy washer, and that's what it will rub on as it rotates around. So it should take a lot of that stiction out of it as well. Bit of work, and this probably a day and a half's work if I tally up the hours to get this finished, but yeah, well worth it. I've coated this in a little bit of oil and we'll see how that does last, if it does rust up at all. Now, speaking of oil, I've made a change to the oil in the apron of the Victor Lathe. I was using a 68 centistoke hydraulic oil that pumps up from the apron. There's a little pump inside as you rotate the apron handle, and that has a capillary system or a tube system that runs up into a whole range of different areas, and it's got a capillary system there. You might have noticed when I rebuilt that, putting the felt in. But I always had the issue with that particular wiper oil, particularly on the ways here, that it doesn't stay put. It runs away, and then rotating the handle gets very stiff. So I've put a proper way oil in here now. It's a product from Life Tools. It's called Hengstifer's Way Clear number 2. And I'll tell you what, has it made a difference. I'll put the camera on the tripod and we'll just show you what it's like. Alright, just quickly, one of the other changes I've made to the lathe is the whey oil that I'm using to lubricate with. I was using a 68 centistoke hydraulic oil, and I was having a lot of trouble with that. There was a lot of, I guess, stiffness or stiction when trying to use the handle, and just trying to do this, you'd be absolutely struggling to overcome that stiction that would build up. And I reached out to Matty from Matty's workshop, and I remember him doing a video on the whey oil that he used, and he put me onto a company called Live Tools, and I purchased a 20 litre drum of Hank's Whey Clear number 2. Now I've put this in, and what a difference. It's so much smoother and so much easier, no stress whatsoever. Compared to what it was like before, it was just an absolute struggle to really get fine control. You're there and it's bumping and sticking, and it was just an absolute nightmare to try and sneak up on a shoulder. But this has made such a difference. One thing I have noticed with this too is that when you do get it on your hands, it's tacky. And that's what it's supposed to be. It actually adheres to the surfaces, so rather than running off and losing that film, it actually adheres to the surfaces, so it's there all the time. As I said, with the hydraulic oil, that would run away, and you're basically coming down to metal on metal. And it would take a while for that pump to action to start again before you got it through. And if you let the lathe sit for any length of time, once again, you had that stiction issue as it was sticking down, but this seems to have solved that, so very, very happy with that. So thank you, Matty, for putting me onto this. It's a great product, and yeah, I agree with you, mate. It's the best I've seen, so very happy with it. Now, one other change I'm going to make too is I've got these rubber whey wipers on the prisms and over on the flats, and when I do screw these up, they tend to press into the prisms and create some drag. So I was looking at Maxie over there at Swan Valley Machine Shop, and he's putting felt wipers in all of his ways on his lathe rebuild that he's doing at the moment. So I'm going to do the same. The problem is I have just a flat plate holding that or supporting that rubber wiper in place. So I'm going to make up a clamshell style holder for the felt, and we're going to make up a pattern, and we're going to cast those in bronze. So I'm going to be rebuilding my furnace where I had a big spill, if you like, and my last pour, the crucible cracked, and I ended up with bronze filling it up. So we're going to rebuild it and get that back in action. Alright, I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of the tool post job. If you're ever after these sorts of things, as I said, you need to sort of build your own parts to it and make your own modifications, particularly the top side, to get those units to fit. But I'm very, very happy with the way that's come up, and it looks really nice too. Alright guys, we will see you on the next one. Take care for now. Cheers.